Will AI image generating tools save us children's authors from having to hire an illustrator for our children's book? What are the current possibilities and limitations of such tools? Could we even use AI generated art in our children's book? What are some of the best free and paid such tools? And how do we use them most effectively? These are the burning questions we will be answering in this video. Hi there, I'm Eevi, an award-winning children's author and ghostwriter over on eevijones.com and the creator of Children's Book University. I create videos specifically for children's authors, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss my weekly videos. I'm sure that by now most of us have heard of and about AI tools, whether that's AI to help us with any writing tasks, AI that jumps in to chat with us and generate personalized automated responses in the online customer service aspect of businesses, or AI tools that will generate images based on prompts we are providing. With this most recent hype and tremendous growth and developments, I've been asked multiple times to create a video on AI image generating tools and their application and usefulness for us children's authors. And that's because for us children's authors, images or illustrations for our book make up a substantial part of our initial investment during the book creation process. Now, I was torn as to whether or not to create this video on this topic, mainly because things have been happening so quickly lately. So I'm not even sure how to really feel about these changes myself just yet. That being said, seeing how many experts have been popping up yet again, preying on hopeful, aspiring children's authors, selling their programs and AI courses, I felt it important to share my honest opinion on these tools' abilities as well as limitations. But before jumping in, let's look at what AI image generating tools are and how they work to take care of any preconceived notions or potential misconceptions, because there are plentiful. As of right now, there are still lots and lots of questions about the legality of AI-generated art, mainly because it is so new. And because it is so new, there is currently very little legislation on this. There is a growing concern that AI-generated art is simply copying from existing copyrighted material. The way this type of image generation works, however, is very much comparable to creating a collage, a piece of art we ourselves can create by copying little snippets of other copyrighted artwork. Interestingly, collages, just like other works of art, are protected under copyright law, even though it is made up of little snippets of other people's work. That is, as long as we don't use more than 10% of any given piece of art. So a collage is considered to be a new piece of art. So just like a fellow author friend of mine stated over on Kindlepreneur, an AI-generated image is essentially a fancy collage. That's how things stand as of right now in terms of its legality. And so our AI-generated images can currently be used commercially. But while any images we generate with an AI tool are owned by us, they can also be viewed, used, and altered by others, very much like any images that would fall under the public domain. That being said, if legal actions were to be taken against AI-generated art in the future, these things might change. Now that we've established that AI-generated art could indeed be used in our children's books, let's dive in by looking at 4 different AI image generating tools. There are so many different AI image generating tools, some better than others depending on what we are looking for, but also depending on our budget, because some are free and others are not. So I set out to find and experiment with those that I like the best, but again, there are so many others. I'm going to share 4 different AI image generator tools with you, and with all 4 I have used the exact same prompts, so we can see and compare the generated images. And the prompt I used was this: a 6-year-old girl playing with her doll, meadow of flowers, colorful illustration style. Now I'll share more about how to put together a helpful or useful prompt in a bit, but for now, let's look at the images the 4 different AI tools have created. The first tool I used is called Magespace. This tool is absolutely free to use. So using this prompt, Magespace created this image right here. This to me felt like the most basic one. I actually do love this style for children's books. The thing you might notice is that the tool did not include the requested doll, and the eyes, hands, and feet would require a bit of editing on our part. I could of course refresh my provided prompt to generate another round of images with this tool, but this was the first one that came up, so that's the one I wanted to share with you. The second tool I used is called Dream Studio. This tool allows us to generate a couple of free images, but then costs $10 per 1,000 images. Now, a quick side note regarding the pricing and the allowed images for these AI tools. Here we'll want to remember that because we have to essentially experiment with how we enter our prompts, we actually burn through these images quite quickly. So just for the images of this video alone, I went through hundreds of iterations for the different examples. So do keep that in mind, because while 200 images or 1,000 images sounds like a lot, it really isn't. So using the same prompt, Dream Studio created this image right here. It's a lot more detailed, including the hands, the face, and the doll. And I really love the colors, and I also love the style in this particular image. The third tool I used is simply the AI image generator accessed via Bing, Microsoft's search engine. This tool is powered by DALL-E, another AI tool that we usually have to pay for, at least its newest version. But this version, accessible via Bing, is absolutely free to use. So using the same prompt, Bing created this image right here. I won't lie, I was so excited seeing this. And even though the doll's face needs some editing and perhaps the girl's legs and hands, this got me really excited about all the possibilities. And the fourth tool I used is called Midjourney. This tool starts at $8 per month for 200 images with an annual subscription, but it also has a month-to-month option and an option for an unlimited number of images for currently around $24 per month with an annual subscription, or $30 for an unlimited number of images for the month-to-month option. Now this one really blew my mind. Using the same prompt, Midjourney created this image right here, and I was both so excited and so terrified all at once, all at the same time. So here are the different generated images again side by side using the same prompt with those 4 different tools with 2 free options and 2 paid options. Now, when it comes to entering our prompts, it's very much a trial and error process, but having tried these different AI image generators, I have found it to be helpful to enter the prompts with some sort of pattern or categories in mind. So when I generated the images I've shared with you just now, I again used this prompt right here. 6-year-old girl playing with her doll, meadow of flowers, colorful, illustration style. And we can essentially break down this prompt into 5 separate categories that are separated by a comma, and where each category is serving a different purpose. But again, this is just a system I have created for myself, so if you should find that something else works better for you, then simply use that. The first category is the main character, and in my example, it was the 6-year-old girl. Some other examples might be a teenage girl, or a little Asian boy, or a sweet grandpa. The second category provided a bit more detail about the character. So here I had playing with her doll. Some other examples might be blonde ponytail, dark curly hair, or freckles on cheeks. The third category describes the background, surrounding or setting a bit more. Here I had a meadow of flowers, and some other examples would be a colorful sky, or more specific things like a small English cottage, or even a city name like New York City. The fourth category describes the feel or mood. In my example, I added the word colorful. Other examples might be dark and gloomy, or hopeful and happy. And the fifth category I added is the style of our image that we are looking for. I was looking for an illustration style, so that is what I added. Other style examples could be pencil drawings or ink drawings. Now, before we get too excited, I wanted to share 2 main limitations that I see right now for the use of image generating tools like this, because while this technology really has come such a long way, it is still important to keep our needs as children's authors and those tools' current limitations in mind. Lots of writers of genres other than children's books within the author community are really excited because they can use these tools to potentially help them generate a cover image for their books. With cover images for books other than children's books, the visual representation of their characters is much less important because readers only see them once in their entire book, and that would be on the cover. For us children's authors, however, the visual representation of our characters is really important because they are probably part of every single page and illustration in our book. And so in my mind, this is where currently those tools' main limitations lie, because it is really hard to stay consistent from one image to another, especially when it comes to the characters. So this is the first main limitation, the lack of consistency with the characters. So if our story is about a little boy who is about to go to preschool for the first time, then as of right now, it is nearly impossible to have these tools show this little boy in a consistent manner throughout a number of different images. Some AI image generators do allow us to upload our own images where we can then prompt these tools to incorporate our images. But as of right now, an Illustrator will do a much better job when it comes to consistency throughout our entire book. And this holds especially true if we have more than one main character, because it is currently still relatively difficult to show multiple subjects interacting in specific ways. So if we have a character-driven book where we need one and the same characters throughout our story, an AI tool like this would currently not be the best solution, especially if we want our character to be shown in different poses and positions. Examples of character-driven or character-centric books would be Llama Llama or The Little Blue Truck, where the same characters appear over and over again on each of the pages. Examples of more plot-driven books would be Brown Bear, and Wild Animals. Here, the characters are less important because each page actually shows a different character. None of the characters repeats, so a lot of concept books would fall into this category, like counting books and alphabet books. So it's with these plot-driven books or concept books where I currently see the best and only application or use of AI image generating tools for us children's authors for our books. And the second main limitation is all about the details or specifics we might want for our illustrations. Getting an AI image generator to create very specific things is, as of right now, still quite a challenge. I know that for my books, I always already have a very specific picture in mind in terms of what I want to see in my illustrations, whether that's the specifics around what the character looks like, what the character is doing, or what we see in the background. With the image prompt I used for the earlier images, I simply wanted a 6-year-old girl holding a stuffed animal standing in the middle of a meadow filled with flowers. So that was fairly simple. But if I were to request a 6-year-old girl with pigtails in short red overalls, holding a blue teddy, and with a tricycle with a flower-filled basket in the background, birds flying overhead, and all that in illustration style, the tool would have a hard time. Using this exact prompt, this is what the Midjourney tool generated. And although these look beautiful, they didn't quite match what I was looking for. The clothing is different, the blue teddy is missing, and we see a bicycle instead of a tricycle. And we also see how the tool struggled a bit with other details such as hands, arms, feet, facial expressions, and the positioning of the girl on the bike. And so combining these limitations with a character-driven book, it's currently pretty much impossible to create detailed illustrations exactly the way we would want them for every single page with a consistent character. And so here too, I believe an illustrator will do a much better job when it comes to showing these details we are looking for in our children's books. So this then begs the question, do I believe AI illustrator tools will save us from having to hire an illustrator for our children's book? As of right now, based on these two limitations I have just shared with you, my short answer would be no. Unless we don't have a character-centered story, we will still need an illustrator. While some prompts might get it right the first time around, others take many tries and variations to get it close to what we want them to be. And more often than not, our generated images will require post-editing because the images are simply not print-ready for commercial use. Now, that being said, there are still other things we as children's authors can use these tools for. So let's look at a couple of those right now. The first thing I can't wait to use AI image tools for is for my storyboard inspiration, to help my illustrators see what I'm visualizing for each of my pages, especially when it comes to sharing about the mood or feel I'm going for each illustration. And that also includes my character ideation, because right now I'm spending quite a lot of time searching for characters that look like I envision them. And with these tools, I could simply put in my prompt to generate a character, which I can then share with my illustrator like I have done right here. So here I again use an AI image generator to create this image, which I then could take to my illustrator, telling him or her to make my book's character look like this one right here. The second use of such AI image tools is to come up with a logo concept for our imprint if we decide to create one, like I have done right here. If you have any questions regarding imprints, whether or not you should create one and how to create one, I have a separate video on that I have shared in the description below. So using an AI tool to create a concept for a logo is a great way to go. And the third use of such AI image tools is to generate an author image, especially if we are using a pen name to publish our work. Before, we pretty much only had the options to use our own image or face, use no images at all, or purchase stock images. But the problem with stock images is that others could simply perform a quick reverse search on Google Images, revealing the fact that our image is a stock image. By using an AI tool, on the other hand, we can create portraits of people that don't exist, making it a much better option for the author image of our pen name. As of right now, because of the main limitations I mentioned earlier, these are the main uses for us children's authors as I see it. That being said, seeing how far this technology has come in such a short amount of time, I have no doubt that these current limitations will be resolved within the next couple of years. In the meantime, we should strive to learn how to use these AI image generating tools ethically, responsibly, and with care. I love my illustrators and I love working with my illustrators, yet there is no denying that AI is already in full swing, and so we have to find a way to embrace these changes and not be afraid of them. We can't ignore change, just like we couldn't ignore the internet or smartphones or moving to mostly streaming our movies and TV shows. It's here and it's here to stay and grow, and it's only going to get bigger and better. So the best thing we as authors and even illustrators can do is to learn about these changes, embrace them, and use AI as a tool. A tool that won't replace our illustrators, but that instead will help us and our illustrators make our beautiful children's books better and our work easier. I hope you found this video really helpful and that it gave you a better idea as to what we as children's authors can and can't do with these types of tools. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't yet. It really encourages me to keep making free videos for you just like this one. Here's to our growth. Bye!